Do impressions on Pinterest matter? You've probably heard a lot of stuff about this. In fact, you might be looking at your analytics and go, oh my gosh, my impressions dropped. Now what do I do? Right? All the experts call impressions your reach. They call that a vanity metric, right? You might have even heard that experts from Pinterest experts saying, oh, impressions, you don't need to worry about that. That's a vanity metric. It's useless information. Don't pay attention to it. So do you need to pay attention to it? If you've been watching my Facebook lives, you probably know that I do talk about impressions. It's actually a really useful indicator about the health of your Pinterest account, but a lot of people are using it wrong. So there's some really great stuff that you can do with impressions. So that's what I'm going to share with you today. My name is Jennifer Priest, and I'm the founder here at Smart Creative Social and the creator of the Smart Pin Pro program. What is going on with your impressions? If you are on Pinterest, you might have noticed that when you open up your analytics, your Pinterest analytics, that's where all of your data is about how your account is performing. When you open that up, there's 4 numbers across the top, and one of those is impressions. And so what you might be noticing, especially after a period of really high intense seasonal activity like the Christmas season that we just came out of, you might be noticing that your impressions have dropped. And so should you be worried about that, right? Should you be worried about that? You might have also noticed that traffic has dropped. Is that something that you need to be paying attention to? So there's confusion. There's a lot of confusion within the Pinterest industry, so to speak, over if impressions actually matter. Maybe you heard they don't matter. Maybe you heard that, and this is something that I've said, right? If your impressions drop all of a sudden, that could mean that could be like the first step that Pinterest is taking in suspending your account. Right. So when Pinterest actually told us this in February 2020 on a Facebook Live with Tailwind. You can find that here on Tailwind's Facebook page somewhere. Pinterest actually told us that hey, if you guys are doing spammy behavior, we're going to suspend your account. But before that happens, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce the reach of your content. We're going to diminish the reach of your content. That's measured in impressions, right? Impressions is how many people are seeing your content, any content pinned on your account in the last 30 days. Not content you pinned, but any content you've ever had on your account, ever from all time. How many people potentially saw any of that within the last 30 days? That's what impressions means. So if you're wondering, like, you're not sure who to believe as far as like, do impressions matter or do they not? What do impressions mean? And then what do you do about it if your impressions have dropped? If you've noticed that like my impressions were going along and they dropped all of a sudden, or they're kind of up and then they're down and they're up and they're down, and I don't even know what that means, right? If you're experiencing that confusion, then you are in the right place. So the first thing is we want to talk about like, where is it that you'd rather be, right? You'd like to know what's important. Are impressions important? Are they not? If they are, what do I do with them? What do I do with the information of like, if it's going up and down, what do I do? If it's going even and then it crashes all of a sudden, what do I do? Like, you want to know what it means and then what to do, right? We want to have like ultimate confidence of like, yep, something's going on with the numbers, but I know how to handle it. What we don't want is what's actually happening, which is it's going along, it drops, and you're like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Or you go in a Facebook group, and so you start looking online for information. You're like, I'm going to go in a Facebook group. I'm going to ask about it. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to go on YouTube. I'm going to go search on Pinterest. I'm going to go to my favorite Pinterest people. I'm going to look at their blogs, and everyone has a different answer. There's so much confusion about this out there. So we want to avoid that. We want to have it be that you know what's important and what to do. You want to know what's important and what to do about it. And then honestly, like most of us don't really care who to believe. We just want it to make sense. We just want it to work. And we want it to be something that we can actually do ourselves. We don't want to have to be dependent on some expert or dependent on always going to Google or always going to YouTube to find out like, okay, this happened on my Pinterest account. I have no idea how to interpret that data. You want to know how to do that, right? You want to have confidence in that. And that's something that I want for you too. Right. I remember those days of being like really confused and really frustrated, and they sucked. That was not fun. And it's a lot better to be able to go like, okay, so things went up and down, or this was happening and then it crashed. What does that mean? What do I do? So why are you experiencing all of this confusion? So the first thing is that experts copy experts. And I'm a Pinterest expert myself, and we kind of do this. one of the reasons this happens is that people don't necessarily understand the why behind the information that they're sharing. It's just kind of generally accepted as a truth in the industry. And I don't know who started this idea, but I have definitely said it in the past, and I course corrected myself about impressions being a vanity metric or a useless metric or a metric without a lot of value. I have always said that it's a indicator of the health of your Pinterest account, but it's actually become more and more important. But the reason that a lot of experts are sharing this without really understanding the why is just it's kind of accepted as a truth in our industry. It doesn't mean it's true. It's just kind of generally accepted that impressions are useless. Impressions are vanity metrics. And part of that is because a lot of people who were spouting off their impressions, I've got 105 million impressions. I think that's how many are on my account right now. They were using that as a sales tactic to prove like, oh, look at how amazing my Pinterest account is. And so to counteract that, kind of like false advertising, a lot of Pinterest experts said, well, impressions aren't really what matters. It matters how much traffic they're getting, right? You can pin a bunch of viral stuff and get a lot of impressions on your account. It doesn't really do anything for your business, right? I can pin 10 other people's viral content and make my impressions go way up, but it doesn't mean anyone's clicking on my site, right? And so I think to kind of counteract this idea of impressions being used as false advertising, it became generally accepted that impressions were vanity metrics, but that's not necessarily true. Your impressions and a drop in impressions could be an indicator that your account is experiencing diminished reach because you've been exhibiting spammy behavior. Does it absolutely mean that if your impressions were going along great and then they dropped all of a sudden that you are doing spammy things? No, because it could also be a seasonal drop. It could also be you pinned somebody else's pin, it went viral, and now it's kind of dropped out of the mix. And so your impressions are going to lower. So we want to look at the impressions in the context of some other things, right? How many clicks are you getting over to your account, for example? So if we have a lot of impressions and our impressions are here and our clicks are here and then our impressions drop, but our clicks are the same. Oh, maybe there was something seasonal. Oh, maybe there was something that we pinned from somebody else that went really viral and kind of pushed our impressions up. And then now that dropped off. And now we're still at the same level for our traffic. So that's good, right? It wasn't our content. And you can dig into analytics and kind of figure that out a little bit more. So let's get into what you should be doing. Instead of being distracted by all the confusion, instead of being distracted by all of these different interpretations of impressions, interpretations of drops in impressions, whether they mean something or don't mean something, here's what you need to do instead. Because the distraction, the confusion, it stops you from moving forward to do actually meaningful work. And don't beat yourself up for this because it's easy to get caught up in it. It does, but it doesn't help you. Okay. So it's easy to get caught up in the distraction. It's easy to get caught up in the frustration. We've all been there where we're like, this isn't working the way I wanted it to. I don't know what to do. Right. So we want to kind of take a deep breath, get yourself out of that. And then the next thing is look at your numbers. So two things, look at your numbers and look at your behavior. Those are the two things to look at. And when you're doing that, you're going to ask yourself the hard questions. And when I say look at your numbers, I'm saying look at your analytics data, your Pinterest analytics and your Google analytics. So first question to ask yourself, am I doing spammy things? You might think you're not doing spammy things, but if you are doing the same thing that you've done for the last 3 months, the last 6 months, the last 2 years that got you results in the past, you may be exhibiting spammy behavior. We used to advise, hey, you can pin up to 50 times a day, repin the same thing over and over and over, and that worked. That doesn't work today. It doesn't work quite in the same way. And the way that you execute that isn't the same as we would have advised 2 years ago. That behavior in the past would not have been considered spammy, but it is very much considered spammy now. So if you're doing the same things that you did 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago, you may be doing spammy things. So ask yourself the really hard question. Am I doing spammy things? Am I just doing the same thing that I've done for the last 3 months or longer? And then are you just following some steps that someone gave you without asking why and without understanding why? Okay, we've got to know why we're doing things. If you're just following steps that someone else gave you, there's a good chance that those steps may have expired or they may have less efficiency or less effectiveness, not less efficiency. They may have less effectiveness than they did in the past. And so you really want to ask yourself, why am I doing this activity? You know, we had someone new join our program recently and they're asking all about group boards, right? Group boards is kind of an older an older tactic, a thing that we used to use in the past. It was very effective, but it's not so much anymore. And so there's some of that programming that we just kind of accept as like, this is how we do things with Pinterest, but those things expire. So if you're just following the steps of things and you don't understand why you're doing that, ask yourself that, like really dig into that. And then the fourth thing is, what do the numbers say? Really dig into the numbers, because you can look at those numbers just on the top of your Pinterest analytics, those 4 numbers, and get really blown off. But there's all these radio buttons on the side where you can click those and drill down and go deeper into what specific content is performing, which pins are performing, which boards are performing, all kinds of really, really great stuff. And when you dig down into there, that's where you find the gems and you get a deeper understanding as to what is really, really happening. We can't just look at those overall numbers. Those overall numbers are overall, right? We can't get an idea of how everything is performing if we only look at the overall numbers. And the final thing to do to fix this impressions issue, should you be looking at impressions? I would say yes. And then what does it mean when they drop or they're up and down all the time? Is go back to the basics, right? Because if you're like, well, you told me not to pin the same way I was pinning 6 months ago, so what do I do? Well, go back to the basics and start with Pinterest mission. Just Google Pinterest mission statement, and you can start from there. And I actually explain a lot of what are the next steps to do, etc., in our Facebook group, and our free Facebook group, which is linked below. Gary's so funny. Gary says such a vanity metric. Impressions isn't necessarily a vanity metric, but a lot of the ways that it's been used is as a vanity metric. And really for us, it's a great indicator as to the health of your Pinterest account. How many people are potentially seeing what it is that you have pinned within those last 30 days? How many people are potentially seeing anything you've ever pinned? It's a really great indicator. But when it's used in that way, right? When it's not used in I don't know how to say it in a positive way. So just in a way other than that, I guess let's say that, in a way other than what it really is, which is how many people in the last 30 days potentially saw anything that's ever been pinned on your Pinterest account. I'd love it if you dropped a key takeaway down in the comments. Tell me what you learned from today's broadcast. I would love to hear more about that, and we can discuss it in even more detail down in the comment section.